Established in 2017, Octominer is an international mining hardware company. They manufacture and engineer the best mining equipment in the industry and supply rigs to some of the largest mining farms around the world. Their GPU mining rigs also integrate with the top crypto operating systems like HiveOS, MinerStat, and Simple Mining. All parts come with an international 1-year warranty. Exciting news! They will be adding ASIC miners for sale to their website soon and launching a new product built specifically for ASIC home miners. Please visit octominer.com or email support@octominer.com for questions.
Now, Congress's FTX problem, 1 in 3 members got cash from crypto exchange bosses. So now we go and we talk about corruption as it pertains to centralized entities participating within crypto and U.S. lawmakers. And this is so, we have a little bit of bullish, we have a little bit of FUD, we got to go back and forth, right? The session began with 196 U.S. lawmakers who took direct contributions from Sam Bankman-Fried and other former FTX executives, and many of them are still trying to get rid of it. More than 1 in 3 of the 535 senators and representatives in the U.S. Congress showed up to the new session with FTX baggage, having received campaign support from one of the senior executives of the fraud-ridden crypto giant. CoinDesk has identified 196 members of the new Congress, many of whom were sworn in last week, who took cash from SBF or other senior executives at FTX, a crypto exchange that filed for bankruptcy in Delaware in November after CoinDesk revealed unusually close ties between FTX and Alameda Research, an affiliated hedge fund. The names in Congress range from the heights of both chambers, including new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, of course, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, of course, down to a list of recipients new to high-level politics. After the lawmakers received the money, it became clear, according to the work of journalists, the criminal charges and admissions of guilt from FTX insiders, that the funds sprang from the colossal financial swindle. CoinDesk reached out to all 196 lawmakers to ask what they would do with the money. Most of the politicians who responded said they handed it over to their charities to remove the taint of contributions from executives such as former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, whose federal fraud charges also include an accusation that he violated campaign finance laws. Here's the problem. You get to choose whoever, you can't, in this situation, the response should be, I'm going to return it to the users of the platform that were screwed out of their money. Not I chose some charity that, I'm personally tied with, that I probably get a benefit for donating to. No. Return it to the users. This is absolutely ridiculous that is the, I've washed my hands of this, I donated to a charity. No. You don't steal from the poor and then give to a charity of your choosing, right? You don't accept donations from somebody who stole from the poor and then give it to a charity of your choosing. You give it back to the poor. It's just ridiculous. It's pretty funny, though. I mean, par for the course, right? Others have revealed that they had conversations with the U.S. Department of Justice about setting aside the money until it can be dropped into a fund to compensate FTX victims. That one sounds better. So these guys, whoever these guys, I want the list of these guys versus the list of these guys, right? That's what I want. I want a list. All right. So, Representative Lou Courier, Democrat, California, was among dozens of current or incoming members of Congress who took FTX contributions, in this case, the full limit of $2,900 directly from Bankman-Fried. I don't know the gentleman, never talked to him, he told CoinDesk, but said he intended to donate that same amount to his alma mater, California State University, Fullerton, to support their Dreamer Education Fund. No, see, I'm against that. Don't give it to the University of California. Give it to the University of Hard Knocks, bro. They got screwed by FTX. Charitable contributions. Of the 53 campaigns, that responded on record, 64% decided to forward the donated amounts to nonprofit causes. Incoming Representative Greg Casar, Democrat of Texas, planned to forward contributions from FTX executive from his brother, okay, Sam Bankman-Fried's brother, to the advocacy group of Fight Corporate Monopolies. While Representative Ronnie Jackson, Republican of Texas, said he would give to a crisis pregnancy center. No! No! Both of y'all, shame for shame. Support your political pundits and get votes out of what was donated to you that was stolen in the first place, and putting towards your political perspective so that you get votes. No. No. Oh my gosh. However, the campaigns channeling tainted money to favored charities may not escape the reach of FTX's bankruptcy case. And even the organizations they give could be roped in, as they should. As they should. Making a payment or donation to a third party, including a charity, in the amount of any payment received from an FTX contributor does not prevent the FTX debtors from seeking recovery. Oh, for sure. FTX warned in a December statement. The company is now controlled by CEO John Ray III, whose primary job is to recover money from the company's fleeced creditors, though it isn't yet clear whether political donations nominally made directly from individuals' personal accounts will be subject to clawbacks. The company said it's inviting any recipients of donations from FTX executives to return the money soon. According to the statement, if the money was stolen, it was never theirs to give. Several of the campaigns told CoinDesk that they're in touch with the bankruptcy team or government authorities and are trying to determine how to give the money back. We received guidance from the Department of Justice that dollars received from FTX executives should be set aside for when a victims' compensation fund is created in the future, said Chris Carroll, campaign manager for Representative Rosa DeLauro, Democrat of Connecticut, whose campaign accepted contribution from Nishad Singh, one of the executives who contributed millions last year. The current chaos at FTX means giving the money back is easier said than done. Of the recipients who responded to CoinDesk inquiries, 38% said they were holding the money and waiting for guidance on how to give it back. Probably the best way to handle it. Only 5 politicians said they had already successfully returned the money. And they have a list here, so I highly recommend going over and taking a look at it. This is, a bipartisan issue, meaning members from both sides are corrupt within this to a certain extent. How they respond to this, what their response is, I think is the most important part, right? Returned or plan to return is what I would lean towards being best, while donated, obviously, I think would be worse, or no response, obviously, being a little bit worse than that. But go check it out, and, see if there's somebody you need that you voted for previously that you should maybe consider not voting for in the upcoming elections, right? If during FTX's bankruptcy process, the money its executives gave to campaigns as well as other causes is deemed fraudulent conveyances, the recipients have to give it back to FTX's estate. Anthony Sabino, a bankruptcy expert and a professor of law at St. John's University, told CoinDesk that the courts will work out whether this cash is tied to fraud, though clawing it back to FTX creditors could take years. Victims of Bernie Madoff are still receiving payments 14 years after his arrest. According to Sabino, the game of hot potato that campaigns play by giving donations to charity is a political move that doesn't magically absolve them from their responsibility to pay back the money. The law does not care if you gave it to Mother Teresa, he said. And if the money has already been spent, then tough luck. If you no longer have the money, too bad, you're still liable and you may go bankrupt yourself. So, Though the charity hot potato was the most common response CoinDesk received from politicians, another sizable group of respondents said they were working on giving the money back, and it covers that, right? So, keeping mum, of the 196 members of Congress who accepted campaign contributions from FTX's former executives, 73% didn't respond to CoinDesk's request for comment. And so it's unclear what they're going to do with the money. Some of Congress's most crypto-friendly members, including Representative Tom Emmer, Republican of Minnesota, who received $8,700 from Salim and Zach Dexter, the CEO of FTX subsidiary Ledger X, have kept mum on the subject. Emmer has largely treated the FTX crash like a blip, continuing his rhetorical crusade on behalf of the industry in speeches and appearances since the exchange filed for bankruptcy in November. Emmer, who is co-chairman of the Congressional Blockchain Congress, has argued that the FTX collapse was a failure of character, not of crypto, but he added that the industry will keep growing. You do not get growth without taking risk, he told a cryptocurrency industry crowd in Washington, D.C. I would agree with him on that, right? But he does have to resolve this. This isn't, he has to say it's a failure of character. Oh, let me show character here and resolve this $8,700. You don't get to just say, hey, it's an error of character and then not actually back that up with an action yourself in response to that, right? That's just my humble opinion, right? How that needs to be handled. Like, I agree with him, but he needs to show that he means what he says. Other members of the caucus who received money from FTX executives, like Josh Gothamir, Democrat of New Jersey, and David Schweitzer, something like that, almost got it, Republican of Arizona, another of the co-chairs, seemed eager to distance themselves from their donors, telling CoinDesk the money has already been donated to charity or returned to FTX. So a firehouse of money. Most of the attention on Bankman-Fried's campaign has focused on the firehouse of indirect money he aimed at congressional Democrats in the primary elections last year through his own and other political action committees. He spent $40 million in the past 2 years, donations that are now under scrutiny by the FTX bankruptcy team and federal prosecutors, though the cash was largely spent on such things as television advertisements and political mailers. Thad Wilson, a bankruptcy attorney at the law firm King & Spalding, said that vendors could find the FTX estate knocking at their doors, taking back money that, for instance, paid television or radio stations to air political advertisements. Wilson said the clawbacks in previous fraud cases, such as the Alan Stanford Ponzi scheme, set a legal precedent. In that case, several campaigns and politicians were hit with clawback claims, including former President Barack Obama, who had given the money to charity and balked at returning it. Even the Golf Channel, which had allegedly been paid with money from the scheme, was sued for fraudulent transfers. The drama over FTX cash could get even messier than dragging the Golf Channel through the courts. Bankman-Fried's family, including brother Gabe, was highly involved in his political engagement, and Wilson said it's not uncommon for litigation to extend to family members, particularly where the size of the donations were significant. I gotta move this mic down. It keeps bouncing the air onto my nose and making it itch. Hold on. While Bankman-Fried and his colleagues made a staggering number of highly visible direct donations, these actual dollar amounts represent a sliver of their political investment. The type of PACs they favored, which don't carry the same limits for the amount of cash individuals can shovel in, focus on what are known as independent expenditures, meaning political help that's not officially tied to campaigns. The dollars that flow through such PACs can be marked or also be dark money, coming from unnamed donors through nonprofit intermediaries, something like the crypto mixer services of political spending. The 30-year-old disgraced CEO said after his resignation that he had taken public credit for the Democratic spending, But he had also funneled money to Republicans. That remark seemed to have been echoed in his criminal proceedings, in which he was charged with conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and commit campaign finance violations, specifically accused of propping up wealthy co-conspirators as straw donors contributed to funds that he was secretly supplying. He's like, yes, I was trying to defraud the U.S. and commit campaign finance violations, but it was bipartisan. Okay. Look, bro, it was illegal, but it was bipartisan. Okay, dude. It's a terrible argument. It's like I got in trouble. I did something wrong, but a spokesman for Bankman-Fried declined to comment for the story. The bulk of the FTX spending on Republican candidates came from one of Bankman-Fried's underlings, Salim or whatever, who hasn't been accused of criminal involvement at press time. While Bankman-Fried's 2022 givings had stunned national politics by raising him to a one-time rank as fourth largest individual political donor, his spending had also lifted his name to 11th place according to the OpenSecrets.org. He did not respond to a request for comment. He was a fixture in the Republican congressional primaries at the companion of Michelle Bond, a crypto advocate who ran as a Republican candidate for New York's 1st District. The two were even seen hobnobbing with Donald Trump Jr., the former president's son. But Salim was more influential as a donor, giving about $24 million to the party's candidate and causes. Another major contributor was Singh, one of the inner circle of the top FTX employees running the global business. He gave almost $10 million to Democratic candidates and progressive politicians, political action committees in the last cycle, according to the Federal Election Commission records. A lawyer representing Singh declined to comment. One other FTX donor was Mark Wetjen, a former commissioner and acting chairman of the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission, who FTX hired in 2021 to head its policy work in Washington. The campaigns he gave to generally overlapped with Bankman-Fried donations, though Wetjen gave modest amounts and made fewer than 24 contributions. He also declined to comment. So the debates between personal money, right? All of the direct donations that politicians are scrambling to cleanse from their campaigns came from the executives' personal money. And so until a legal determination emerges that the funds really should be considered part of the company's bankruptcy, Sabino, the St. John's professor, said a clawback process does not affect donations Bankman-Fried made with his own money. Likewise, for other executives of FTX who donated their personal money, Sabino added. Bankman-Fried has been charged with campaign fraud, and prosecutors have alleged that he hid the true source of the funds he donated. But the accusations are scant in detail about what exactly is being alleged, and authorities haven't yet hinted at whether the same level of scrutiny will be applied to donations made by others, I think other executives, right? Some additional confusion could arise over the mess Bankman-Fried made in his direct giving, often donated repeatedly and well beyond federal limits for individual contributions, according to analysis of federal records. The maximum per election was capped at $2,900 during the cycle, which would amount to $5,800 for both a primary and general election. For instance, in this case, Senator Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, Bankman-Fried apparently contributed 6 times for a $17,400 total, according to federal records. A representative of the campaign said the amount over the limit was given back in September and October of 2021. And on one date in 2021, Bankman-Fried apparently contributed to Romney 6 times for $31,900 through the campaign, returned all but the legal limit of the $5,800. The FTX executives typically targeted candidates already in power who weren't likely to lose it, and they only sent the money to a couple dozen candidates who lost. Despite the abundance of conspiracy theories around Bankman-Fried's financial relationship with Democrats, he openly gave 10 to 10 Republican lawmakers, is what they're saying here. Some of his cash went to the prominent senators who weren't even running in last year's election, such as Dick Durbin, Romney, and John Boozman. So, the 37% of Congress who took FTX money will now be among lawmakers deciding how the U.S. should regulate cryptocurrencies and whether to allow the route Bankman-Fried lobbied for. This succession is expected to produce at least some initial attempts at laws governing crypto assets, and the damage wrought by FTX will be in the forefront of that debate. While Bankman-Fried sits in his parents' Stanford, California home wearing an ankle monitor and awaiting the developments of his criminal prosecution, a key figure, Senator Sherrod Brown, chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, has begun talks about the contours of a crypto bill. And despite loud crowing on social media that Bankman-Fried's arrest heralds the death of the controversial crypto regulation bill he supported, experts say that and other legislative efforts will continue. Though the discourse on Capitol Hill will remain hyper-aware of Bankman-Fried's recent Washington ties, the fact of his widespread relationships with lawmakers won't itself kill the work, said Jenny Lee, a partner at law firm Reed Smith's Financial Industry Group and former enforcement attorney at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. With the FTX bankruptcy, there is a public focus that is intense enough that we might have a chance at more thoughtful rulemaking, Lee said. We've been regulating these underlying issues for more than 100 years, and it will take some thoughtful analysis, reference back to the history and deep understanding of the technical issues on the part of regulators and lawmakers to apply it to crypto in a manner that does not do more harm than good. Many of the lawmakers who temporarily benefit from the sudden crypto riches of FTX's political novices are now issuing scathing comments about the recklessness of company officials and calling for tough industry oversight. So as crypto regulation progresses, the industry may face politicians who feel they have been burned before by digital asset advocates. So they're compromised, right? You can't have people that are making laws that are biased on the subject, which they clearly are now. Anyways, that's what's going on. I feel like we're going to have people making laws that are extremely biased in this position, right? And you end up in a position, like I said before, where it feels like the attack is on cryptocurrency as a whole and not on what is really the problem, which is, of course, that human problem. And that comes with centralization. So the further you move away from the fundamentals of cryptocurrency, in my humble opinion, the closer you move to some sort of corruption influenced by human interaction. And that's just human nature, right? That's not any person can be corrupted at that point. It's just the way it works. That's why the entire point is to try to decentralize it and make it transparent, right? And record a public ledger, is because if you can do that, then you can remove everything that gets done behind the curtain in centralization, right? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.